What is up, everyone? Today we'll be taking a look at some top teams for the Retro Cup. Retro Cup is starting later today and it restricts you from using any steel, dark or berry hypings. With those bans you can expect a lot more ice, normal and ghost types in this meta because their main answers of steel and dark are gone. And as you can see, Poke agrees there. Licky Tongue very high up, a lot of ice types here, some ghost types. Another typing that's very strong is Dragon, because Dragon Breath is unresisted. The only typings in the game that resist Dragon are Fairy and Steel, and they're both banned. So any Dragon Breath user is gonna put in a lot of work here, though they do have to watch out for the ice types, of course. So anyway, let's get into these teams, and I want to start by highlighting 4 of the most meta OP cores you can run. These duos are just extremely solid. If you want a solid squad, just run any of them. Combined with one of the safe switchers / pivots on the right here, and you'll have a solid squad. But more importantly, I also want to teach you how to break them. And those are the Pokemon in the red boxes. They can do very well versus that specific core. Anyway, I know there's a lot of information on this screen. I'll just go through it one by one, starting with the Walrein Trevenant core on top there. Extremely solid duo. We note from the Open Great League, Trevenant of course struggles with fire, ghost. Walrein does pretty fine there. Walrein struggles with electric. Fighting, Trevenant beats those. So extremely solid duo, but doesn't deal too well with like Licky Tongue, because you can lick down Trevenant, Power Whip Walrein. Greedent also not too great for it, but that's kind of it, to be honest. Besides, that's extremely solid. But if you want to break this, definitely consider bringing a Licky Tongue, a Greedent, a Snorlax, and you can definitely cause some trouble for that team. Then next up, Altaria, Regirock, another very good duo. Altaria, of course, in this meta really struggles with ice types. Regirock can beat those ice types. Regirock, of course, struggles with fighting types and mud boys, or ground types mainly. Altaria beats those. Again, Licky Tongue is kind of a pain for it because Altaria and Licky Tongue is kind of even, and Licky Tongue can power whip Regirock. Another Pokemon that's trouble for it is Whiscash, since you can Blizzard Altaria and you can Mud Bomb the Regirock. Ice types also don't do too bad versus this duo though, because Regirock usually does need 2 Stone Edges to kill, and like Icicle Spears from Walrein really add up. Even Frostlass, if you have a little bit of an energy lead, you do fine versus Regirock. So this team can definitely be broken by some ice types too. Then another duo, Medicham, Licky Tongue. We know it from Open Great League as well. Medicham, the fighter that beats all other fighters, which is very good when you're combining it with a normal type, which loses to the fighting types. Medicham does lose to ghosts, however, but Licky Tongue completely hard walls the ghosts. Noctowl can be a bit of a problem for this duo, because Noctowl just walls Licky Tongue and it has the flying damage to hit Medicham for super effective. Medicham can still hit back with Ice Punches though, which of course is not ideal. Another Pokemon that does pretty fine against this duo is Frostlass, because even though Frostlass is a ghost type, it actually does kind of fine versus Licky Tongue, and obviously it walls the Medicham. Final core I want to highlight is the Frostlass Vigoroth core. Frostlass just deals with Vigoroth's main weakness to fighting, and Vigoroth deals with Frostlass's weaknesses to the lick users and rock types. Talonflame and Trevenant could be a little bit of trouble for this core. Both have Play-Doh versus them, but if you want to cause this duo some trouble, definitely considering the Bird or Trevenant, or Machamp is actually another option. Machamp generally does lose to Frostlass, but if you can get some farm on Vigoroth, you can Rock Slide the Frostlass and one-shot it. Hopefully that taught you a little bit about all of these cores. Again, run them with one of the safe switches on the right here, and you just got an extremely solid squad, honestly, in almost any combination. And if you're not gonna do that, make sure you're prepared for these teams at least, because they will be around very, very frequently. Anyway, now that we've taken a look at the hardcore meta, let's show you some teams that are a little more, I don't want to say fun, because I think there's nothing wrong with running the teams I showed before, because they just work. They just work. They're meta, but they work. And if you find that fun, that's okay. I guess the word is more creative. These teams still do very well against the hardcore meta, but you wouldn't really call them meta. I guess this first squad is built around Oranguru. Pokemon I didn't really put into any of the core breaker boxes in the meta section, but it is kind of a core breaker. It does very neutral damage versus everything in the meta. Oranguru in the Open Great League really struggles with dark types and steel types, but they're gone here. The only thing it's really gonna struggle with is like Araquanid, because it's a bug type, of course. But I don't expect Araquanid to be that common, so I think Oranguru is gonna be an amazing generalist. It does very good versus like Trevenant, Lickitung, and very neutrally versus basically everything else, which makes it a decent core break and especially a very, very good lead. Because even if you have a bad lead with Oranguru, you still get it extremely low. For example, an Altaria would be considered a bad lead. A Walrein, I think, also beats Oranguru, also a bad lead, but you bring both of these Pokemon extremely low, and then you can farm it down with either Frostlass or Victini, which are amazing when you get a little bit of an energy lead. Now, I think PvPoke suggests you run Future Sight on Oranguru, by the way. I personally prefer Psychic. It's just more consistent. And of course, you run Confusion Foul Play always, but I would highly recommend Psychic, but you can always run Future Sight. That's what PvPoke recommends. This squad also kind of functions in an ABB kind of way, because both my Pokemon in the back lose to Lick users like Lickitung and Snorlax. So if you don't face them in the lead, usually you want to try to switch out. But, you know, it's not... It's a recommendation, not really a must-do, since both Frostlass and Victini still do fine when you're up against a Lick user, especially Frostlass can beat Lickitung. Now, you might be wondering, Victini is kind of a weird pick, not really commonly seen, but it is a lot of fun. It's a really great anti-fighter, and that V-Creators does a lot of damage versus everything. I ran this team a bunch last time Retro Cup was around, and it did absolutely amazing. Like, this is one of my favorite squads I've ever ran in Retro Cup, so I can highly recommend it. It definitely has its issues though. A Regirock can be kind of painful because those Stone Edges just hit everything very hard. But it is manageable because Oranguru has a neutral matchup there and Frostlass can do a lot of work there too. Greedent, another very annoying Pokemon because Crunch hits everything on my team for super effective. But Greedent can't take out everything, so you can definitely play around it. Next squad is Triple Dragon. Nothing in this cup resists Dragon moves, so this squad makes good use of that by running Triple Dragon Breath. Or you can even run Dragon Tail on Gyarados, but I generally prefer running Dragon Breath there if possible. Also run Shadow variants of at least Gyarados and Dragonair, because they'll do a little better, because extra fast move pressure is super nice on these. On Kingdra, you could run Shadow, but I think regular might be a tad better because that will allow you to get to more Octazookas, which will allow you to get more debuffs maybe, which is pretty huge. Now, all three of these Pokemon are kind of squishy, which means this squad does have some trouble with bulky Pokemon that are also spammy, like a Walrein, like a Lickitung, Metacham as well, bulky and spammy. Could be a little bit of an issue, but overall, if you manage your shields correctly, they should still be manageable. And unless there are three of these bulky spammy Pokemon on the same team, you should be fine to just Dragon Breath, Aqua Tail, Octazooka your way through a lot of teams. Finally, I want to show you a team with Araquanid. Now, I'm not sure about Araquanid in this meta quite yet, but it's a new Pokemon. I really want to show you a team with it. Also a team I want to try out. Araquanid does do very well against like Walrein Trevenant core and Medi Licky core, but it also struggles extremely hard versus flyers like Altaria, Noctowl, rock types like Regirock. So it has some very good matchups, but it also has some extremely bad matchups. Kind of hit and miss. But to cover for some of those bad matchups, I'm running double anti-flyer in the back with Walrein and Regirock. Of course, Walrein is extremely solid pick, pairs well with Araquanid. They do share a weakness to Electric, but generally Electric is not that common, and most of the Electric types are actually squishy, like a Galvantula. And Walrein still does fine against those then, because you can also just Earthquake them in the end, or in Galvantula's case, an Icicle Spear already does like 70%, so it's really not that bad. And then Regirock, of course, solid anti-flyer as well. If you don't have Regirock, I know it's very hard to get, so most of you probably don't have it. If you don't have it, consider running like Sudowoodo or Lycanroc. Obviously, they are less strong than Regirock, but still pretty good, and they have their benefits as well. I think Sudowoodo, Lycanroc are quite strong in that they can do like better versus Lickitung, because you hit them with counters and then still hit Stone Edges on those flyers. So definitely some interesting picks as well. Just not as solid of an anti-flyer as Regirock is. Of course, this team still has some issues, especially versus ghost types like Covagrigus and Jellicent as well, actually, since they beat Araquanid pretty solidly. And I don't really have a great answer in the back for them, but overall I think they should be manageable with teamwork. Lickitung, another problem Pokemon, but should be okay too. Araquanid has a fine matchup there. It's just that it can also Power Whip Walrein and Regirock, which could make it a little issue, but you can definitely play around this with this squad. So I think overall, pretty good team. Anyway, that was it for today. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. Good luck with your battles, trainers, and I'll see you in the next one.